Hello everyone, and welcome to GreenTalk, our new podcast dealing with sustainability.
Today, we are very pleased to welcome Panut, our guest of the week, and talk about sustainable non-governmental organizations. So,
Yes.
Panut, you are the founder of Yayasan Orangutan Sumatera Lestari.
Yes.
Thank you very much for being with us today. And as a start, could you tell us what is OIC, which is the other name? It's Orangutan Information Centre. And what are OIC activities?
Yes. Thank you for inviting me to this GreenTalk, and I'm happy to share all the information I have for you all. Yayasan Orangutan Sumatera Lestari, or widely known as the Orangutan Information Centre, is a local NGO working to save the orangutans from the life-threatening situations. And then in order to remove all these life-threatening situations, we have so many approaches and strategies to eliminate the threats, including community patrol. So this team actually conduct forest patrol in the forest to prevent forest crimes. And also we have Human Orangutan Conflict Response Unit, or crew. This team is a mobile team to respond to any report of conflicts between orangutan and humans, or any indication of potential conflict incidents. And then this team is very essential to give the first aid for orangutan potentially in trouble because of the forest loss, because of their situation being pushed out from the forest and then roam into the farmland that considered become pet. And that's the problem start when orangutan become pets. Not only that, OIC is actively doing community engagement by promoting sustainable livelihoods, for providing trainings for local people so they can be more connected to the ecosystems and livelihoods. Is not separated from the healthy ecosystems. When the ecosystem is healthy, and then the livelihood can be supported. And that's the idea, how to connect between people, forests, and the ecosystems and the species, of course. And then we have education programs. So we provided kind of awareness, outreach campaigns, advocacy, and also supporting local communities in fighting against, for example, destructive development plan like hydro dam, for example, and also mining and expansion of plantations into the rainforest. And that's also part of the engagement, but more specific on a focused issue. But also we have one of big project like replanting program. So we call it as ecosystem restoration. This is one of the highlights of OIC program, by actually converting plantations, illegal plantations, into rainforest by planting many trees on the degraded area, degraded forest. And we planted the degraded forest by involving local people, and also by conducting training on local people so they can have capacity to conduct forest restorations, and the benefits of the restoration now becoming very factual, where we can see the growing forest and then species that already lost previously because of the expansion of the plantations now coming back to our restored forest. So that's kind of main highlights of OIC programs.
Yeah, many activities with already great results.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Sorry, I just missed one thing to say is that we also now been implementing kind of rescue center. So where we actually few animals that become victim of wildlife trafficking, wildlife trade, and then we try to rehabilitate them and try to release them into the wild by making more reduction process in our rescue center. Yeah.
Okay, so you just talked about the activities of OIC. So if we go back to the creation, what were your motivations to create OIC?
Yeah, there are There were some motivations to start this OIC, but I think the bottom line is I myself in 2001 kind of getting lost of why things broken, why the ecosystem, our ecosystem is being damaged, and that's kind of instinct of seeing disruptions by yourself directly, and then you see anyone actually trying to do something or to fix the problem. So and I saw at that time is the booming of the palm oil expansion in Indonesia, and then I saw many forests being lost, being sacrificed, and but actually not many young people wanted to do something about it, to even address the problem. People are very narrow-minded about this kind of expansion of these commodities, never thinking about the impact. So I tried to actually bring the case by doing something, by establishing OIC in order to have local actors, myself putting myself as a local person who will have direct impact on these deforestations, and then trying to engage young people to follow the conservation actions that I tried to develop and establish back then. And it worked slowly, of course. I mean, it didn't happen just straight away. It took time for me to even address the problem in a holistic way. At the beginning, I had to start piece by piece, starting from education, starting from coming to schools, coming to villages, talking about the issue, talking about the case, but then it's not really coming into one result, one outcome that will address the trends, So, and that is the real motivation behind OIC was being established. So we have a center for fighting, for combating all these crimes and anything that actually damaging the ecosystem, damaging the orangutans and livelihoods and forests. And then now, with all what we're doing is actually trying to combat the climate change, because what we are doing was also helping with the climate actions that is currently becoming very, very essential for the world to address this climate crisis.
And could you explain what is the creation process of your NGO, and what were the constraints that you have faced, and the help that you've received also, maybe?
Yeah, at the beginning, I just started by doing whatever possible without having any institutional entity capacity building for the institutions of the real, working NGO. I just did it like that, because it's more like passion to me. It's more like having a solid thought about doing something as a young people. But actually, I didn't do any institutional capacity by having a proper entity, legal entity, until actually the 5 years after I started OIC, then I have a proper legal entity as a NGO, But that's the lesson learned, that when you wanted to do something, actually you just don't start from a legal entity formality, but actually you can start by your own ideas, your own innovation, your own initiatives actually to do something to make difference. So if I started from the legal entity process, maybe I wouldn't done like what I've done now, because I just couldn't achieve it, But then all you did by having activities, recruiting volunteers at the beginning, because I have no funding to pay salaries, even for myself, even for other staff. So I started by establishing volunteers here in OIC. And then, I had practically in 2002, 2003, and I had many young people to join the volunteer opportunities, because back then there was no such skill for young people to actually express the ideas, to get involved in the conservation action or conservation fight for young people. It's not available at all. Then, and even I was able only to just recruit 20 people because I had 100 people actually wanted to join my force. But then, yeah, I tried to maintain this volunteer opportunity until 2010, so half of our staff from 2005 to 2010 actually filled by volunteers, which was very rare in Indonesia to have NGOs filled by local volunteers, Yeah. So I provided the opportunity for young people to become volunteers and to become, new flag observations. And then most of these volunteers actually now working in conservation NGOs. Even half of the volunteers that joined my force at the beginning now becoming full-time staff, I see since like 2003, So they stay with us. That means they actually, wanted to do what they want, the job that they actually like as this, and then OIC grow, and then we have now legal entity as a local NGO, and having developed so much networking with the international NGOs and become recognized. And then here we are now trying to keep fighting for the good cause here in Sumatra.
Very interesting.
Yeah, thank you. So you talked about the evolution. So how is now OIC structured, and what is your role?
Yeah, since 2018, I was no longer the executive director of OIC. I was like founding director or CEO of the NGO, I would say, but I was not directly implementing, but actually overseeing and then providing strategic advice on the mission of OIC, and then expanding and working with the partners and potential donors, and then also still maintaining good relationship with the donors to support the work of OIC, which is really, really important. So because from the beginning until 2018, even now, I'm still the symbol or the mascot of OIC. The name and my face, is still considered as the mascot of OIC. But I think this is not right. This is not healthy. I think I believe that the NGO should not rely on one person as a mascot or as a symbol of a fight, but it should be blended into all the system, all the mechanism, all the strategic mission of OIC, as OIC, not just a person. So I have been trying to actually develop such condition where actually OIC should fight as OIC, not because of a single person like Panut to be the symbol of the fight. No, it's not really correct to be. So it should be the NGO. Okay, I'm part of the NGO that actually trying to achieve the mission of the NGO.
Yeah. What are the main stakeholders related to your activities, and how do you deal with them? How can they benefit or challenge the projects?
Yeah, I think that the main stakeholders are local people, and that is the biggest challenge as well, because the local people are layered into different level. For example, in the community directly living into the forest, and then communities living in the suburb area that actually affect the way the ecosystem change. The deforestation actually changed the way people live, and that's how I believe. Because when the forest lost and there are so many shifts in the livelihoods because of the people actually have no lands and losing their lands, and many young people actually come to the city and they have no skill to actually have a proper job, so they just remain in the a low skill job that put them not as as a good income. So that means the stakeholders actually in a very critical situation, because they are affected by deforestation, and then they are faced by the poverty, and then this poverty will be the problem and the threat for the rainforest, for the orangutans. when the local people are in a poverty line, that means there are so many pressures to the forest. When expansion of plantation into the area where local people have no more lands, and then they become a potential threat to rainforest, because that means people will lose their land, and they will just see forest as the source of livelihoods, and that will be imbalance, I believe, and that's how I see stakeholders in the local community is very, very essential to be engaged, and how we prevent this. But of course, it is not easy, just like flip your hand and then solution is over. No, it's not. Solution is always multiple, and then no single solution for these different layers. And we need to also work with other stakeholders to offer solutions. For example, the government and even anthropologists, who understand the change in the culture, the behavior, and why people actually shift from agroforestry to monoculture practices, and from village to rural to urban style, and that affect the way people actually see the ecosystem and the forest. And the expansion of plantation is seen as the future of young people. They only see palm oil, for example, is the future for their life. This is not healthy. When they see a monocultural industry is the future. I think the country will is at risk of losing the identity of culture when we really live in harmony with our forests, But then if we have the insights of, monocultural mindset, and then that will be dangerous for the future of our culture, our society, and our ecosystem.
Okay, and the stakeholders, do you also work with businesses, and how do you work hand in hand with them?
At the beginning, I was reluctant to work with the business because it's very risky for us to work with business, because there are many greenwashes issues, with many industry to work with, or NGO. But then actually it's all about greenwashing, and then I was very, I would say, pessimistic about working with the business. But along the time, and actually working on this conservation field, with the threats not being prevented, because many policies in the government sector actually encouraging, more expansion. For example, currently there are 14 million hectares of palm oil. When I started my OIC, it's like half of that, half of that 14 million. When I started OIC, it's maybe around 6 to 7 million hectares of palm oil in Indonesia. But now it's 14 million hectares. That means expansion is still happening. And then what we try to do is to stop the expansion, but the reality, the expansion is still moving forward, and then it's not really, really good. What I need to do to engage the business sectors, the private sectors, to actually work in conservation. So pushing them to limit the expansion by allocating the land that is just suitable for palm oil, and that means we need to push the government to stop expansion. And then if within the area that already developed for palm oil or other plantation commodities, we need to engage the company to understand their impact, And in order to do this, we need to engage the private sectors. That's the reality. The boycott is not a solution, I think, because boycotting palm oil, meaning that we less regulate the production of the palm oil. And if we actually have no regulations to produce the palm oil, that means actually there are more disruptions will come afterwards. And then at the end, I try to advocate any company who actually try to do good things with a good ethics and having a sustainability concept in their vision. Then I'm happy to be part of their vision, ensuring the prevention of the expansion, and also killing some more orangutans in the landscape by engaging the private sectors.
Yeah, and you're also working hand by hand with Lush and potentially L'Oreal on the patchouli oil. And
try to directly work with the local farmers who have no connections to the buyers in Europe. And then this is something that we also try to engage the industry, that what's going on the ground, and it need to be understood by the industry and the consumers, and then and then this is part of the engagement with the practices that we have been developing so far.
Okay, and how international organizations are helping the cause, and are they limited by the Indonesian government?
Yeah, international organizations now actually, of course, they can still help. They can contribute to our good cause by partnering with OIC, partnering with other NGOs. And of course, 90% of our funding coming from international agencies, international funders, and then we can still work in partnership with the local NGO like OIC. It is still possible, it is still doable. And then, of course, there are some issues with the partnership when involving big NGO, coming to Indonesia, and then that means they want to implement directly, and that will need a kind of mechanism, of partnership with the government of Indonesia, because international NGO working in Indonesia, when they implement directly, they need to have a kind of partnership with the government of Indonesia. But many international NGOs or international agencies, they can actually directly work and have partnership with the local NGOs or national NGO, and then this will actually improve the capacity of a local NGO to work in a more holistic, strategic way. And this means that this is the most effective way for international communities to support conservation. This is how I see it. So international communities, international organizations actually can help by actually working with local entities, with local communities, rather than directly implementing. This will cost a lot of hassles, a lot of procedures that make, a lot of headache. So I think by allowing local NGOs, by allowing local communities, by allowing local entities to work in the conservation with support from the international communities, I think that's a much better way.
Thank you very much. And for our audience, could you tell us what they can do to help OIC and how they can engage in the help of endangered species in Indonesia and in the rainforest in general?
Yeah, I think supporting OIC is a way to support the conservation of orangutans, because what we're doing is actually to secure their habitat and secure their life from the threats. So I think international communities can help conservation of orangutan by helping local NGO that focus on the orangutan conservation. And then like OIC, yeah. And then becoming volunteers for OIC can be a good way to support OIC. And also, if you can generate kind of fundraising activities on your own country, and then you can actually encourage people to give donations to good cause like OIC, and that is also a way for helping. And then also, you can help our campaigns by, speaking out more on the good cause and then the campaign messages that we want to deliver to the whole world. It's also something that you can do through your social media, any media channels. And then you can also become our advocate. We can become our representatives. On this way, you can actually work in your own way to become our, wings in your own country to deliver the kind of messages to local communities. And then actually, the last thing I want to say, you can help OIC by actually putting effort for you to actually understand what you consume can be actually the cost of our foreign forest. So you need to be aware of the impact of you're making by even consuming the products. If you want to support our work, and then you need to also aware of your consumption behavior. Your consumption behavior can actually the cost of our rainforest. So that's something that you can do.
Yeah, good to know. I think our audience is going to be happy to know what they can concretely do and help the cause. And as a last question, would you have any advice for people that would like to join an NGO or create one?
Yeah, I think as I said earlier, that to start a good cause, sometimes you don't even need RTTE. It can be from your own initiative as a good thing to do, small things that make a big impact, yeah? So that's something that I always keep saying, that try to make good things, small things, but that make a big impact in your own way. And this can be on your own initiative, your own group in your society, or you can set up an NGO to actually help the planet. I think what we need to do now is having more young generations, they're putting our planet as the priority to be protected, to be safe. We don't even need another planet to deal with the crisis, but we actually still have time. We still have hope to fix our problem in our own planet. Never think about other planets to move to other place, but actually we still having time to fix the problem by actually doing a lot of good things, healthy things, and then doing sustainable things without destroying our planet. You know, there are a lot of things you can think of what you can do to help the planet.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Panut, for taking the time of speaking about your NGO OIC. I think it was very inspiring for our audience.
Yeah, I will share my thoughts, as I said, you know, and I hope this will be something to inspire a young generation.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, we wish you all the best in your future activities to OIC, and maybe we give you some minutes to tell us if you want to promote or share any upcoming projects of OIC, and if there is a website or social media where we can follow your activities.
Yeah, you can follow our website. You can follow our Instagram www.orangutancentre.org. And then also our Instagram, you can find in YOSLOIC. You can find Instagram. You can even Google my name. You can find the link to all the social media. Yeah, I hope it works okay for now. And then thank you for this podcast. I think this something really inspiring as well for local people in Indonesia, in Medan, to also do something similar like what you're doing. I enjoyed the time when I hosted Martin and other folks, other friends coming to our side. It's good opportunity for you to see fresh hands activities and all actions that we actually are doing on the ground. And it's good to witness the process, the work, and so you understand more. And I enjoyed the time when I came to your class and then talked to you directly, and it's very inspiring.
All right, thank you so much, Panut. It was super inspiring, super interesting. I'm sure the audience is gonna feel it that way also. And from our side, we invite you to join us in 2 weeks for the next episode of GreenTalk. It will be with Olivier from Reparseb, a company that works with a great environmental and social impact. So see you later. Goodbye.